Hey everybody, ViGeeMan here, and welcome to episode 10 of ViGeeMan's adventure. Now, let me get a few things straight. So I haven't posted in like 3 weeks, or 2 weeks maybe, I don't know, lost count, because I haven't posted. And that's because a few things. One, you probably just saw it, hopefully it's in this video, is a new intro. And I've been trying to figure out the music for that for so long. It's not even funny, but I think I got it. And hopefully you'll see that. Well, you'll have to see that because I'm gonna put it at the beginning of this video, or this video's not going out. Also, I got a bunch of new stuff. I got a new microphone. Hopefully you can tell a difference. I got a new mouse pad, a second monitor. Just like really changed my whole setup. That's like really all I got for Christmas, because that's really all I asked for. And like a microphone stand, like a boom mic kind of thing. And just overall, I'm feeling good. School just started as well. This is the first weekend after school that I'm recording this. It's a Saturday. And back on schedule sort of thing. So I'm gonna try to put up some videos, but I have to put on the new intro for all my videos, which will take like 30 to 40 minutes each. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but we'll see how that goes. So really, it's just been a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, there's gonna be a new series coming out. Gonna try to continue other series. I don't know. Oh yeah. We have been playing so much CSGO, it's not even funny. Joey and Dayton, Blake, Connor, Jordan, and Tim are all Silver 1 right now. And, Tim was Silver 2 for like a day, because he won a ton in the row, but then he lost it. And I deserve Silver 1. I need that Silver 1. Been doing so good, and I just not getting Silver 1. But I got 200 hours on the game, so now I can get those Overwatch things, like to see if it's a hacker or not. Okay, so anyway, let's start. Let's start the video. Let's start the topics. It's been hard to think of topics. Well, no, it's not, because I'm always talking about new stuff in my head, but like, it's just never something so big that I can actually put in one of these episodes. So, to start out, remember when I was talking, first, I want to talk about a thing that I've probably already talked about, I don't remember, but I'm going to go more in depth about it if I did talk about it. Something called motivation. Okay, so, you ask your random parent or worker, and you ask them, what motivates you to get up in the morning? And they may say, I like the people in my work. They may say, like, I always learn new things there, or it's like I enjoy it. But most of the time, in fact, almost all the time, it's going to be somewhere in their minds, it's gonna be, I do it for money. Like, I do it so I can pay the bills and stuff like that. Now, that in itself, getting paid to do something, is a huge motivation for anything. Like, literally anything. It's like a tempting thing. Except, for work. Now I want to say, okay, 1 second. I'm trying to write down something. Okay. Now I want to say what motivates a person who goes to school to get up. They may say exactly the same things. Like, I like the people there. I like to learn new things. I gotta turn down the video settings. I record this in Minecraft. I should just use an audio recorder, but I learn new things. I like the people there. It's just fun in general. But the one thing they will never say, because it's true, is I get paid. No one gets paid to go to school. So that huge motivation, now I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying that huge motivational spike has been lost, and people generally just don't like school. They may like the friends there, like that's a little bit of a motivation, but learning things, and this is for my next subject of school. Like, I have 3 parts to this, but learning things for a grade, like, doing things for a grade, like that motivation, like, people don't want to get up in the morning because people just don't like school. If you like school, then it's like, congrats to you, because now you can actually get up and go to school and enjoy it, where most people are just like, I don't want to go to school, then they have to. And really, a lot of things also, you have to get up. Like, for work, you just have to get in 8 hours that day. Like, you can either go 9 to 5, well, for some jobs it's like a shift and you have to go, but for some other jobs, like, you have to just go in for 8 hours, do your work, and then get out, and you'll get your paycheck. But for school, you go there, and sometimes you don't even learn anything. Like, honestly, like, some things just make sense, especially for a lot of people. Like, I'm always learning it, but learning for a grade, nah. And I might as well go to my next. So the motivation thing is that, the parents of people are always like telling the kids, I'm sure that every kid has gone through this, it's like, hey, don't complain, like, the kid's complaining about school, and the kid's like, hey, don't complain, I have to go to work. That doesn't make sense, because they get paid. That's a huge motivation. And 2, there's probably, for most people, they're doing something they like, or they were qualified to do. Like, in school, you go there, you learn it, but you don't apply it to anything at all, except maybe word problems, and no one likes that. Like, I like learning things, I don't like it for a grade, and I want to use it for something. That's what college is. College is where you learn stuff that you're good at. You don't have to learn a curriculum, or like you have to learn these certain 4 classes or these 4 core classes. No, you learn what you need to know more about that is good for your specialties and like what you like to do and what you're good at. So then you could go out in a job. But then for like 12 years of your life, you're going to a school that you're learning a bunch of stuff that you will not like. I remember reading a review, this was like 3 years ago, so probably things have been changed, but that like 40% of the stuff that you learn in school is what you remember, so 60% you just forget. Or actually, no, it's not remember, but use in your daily life for actual stuff, like 40% of that. And that's in all of, that's probably like the elementary school years, and maybe some high school stuff that you were interested in. Like the elementary school years of how to read. Well, you could probably do that before, but I mean like how to read, how to do basic math, fractions, like all that stuff. That's probably just easy to do. That's just something you should know if you're going to a job. And that's like the basic knowledge kind of thing. And then there's a little bit of stuff that maybe you like did in a club. Like if you want to become a math teacher, then everything that you learn in all of these math classes you need to remember. But if you want to only become, like say an architect, you only need to know like basic math. If you want to become a musician, you don't really need a lot of math or proper grammar. Well, if you want to make songs, then kind of, I guess, but you can alter grammar in songs to make it rhyme, but, like, you don't really need to know the history of, like, I don't know, just the ancient history of China. I mean, it's interesting, but for, like, almost every job, you don't need to know that, and yet, you kind of are forced to. So, and here I was talking about for a grade. I like to learn, I like to read, I like to show off new stuff, I like to be like experienced and have like knowledge over everybody. Just kidding. But I mean, like, I would like all that. I just hate doing it for a grade because that in itself is a demotivationizer. I guess that's what you would say. Like, it just really kills it. It does not help out in any way when you have to do something for a grade. It just makes it a lot worse. So, I just want to figure out, or like, for a grade, there needs to be a lot less things for a grade. Really, like, a lot of things. And another thing, there's a lot of things for grade. And what annoys me is two things. One, that the teachers are graded based on your grades and SOL tests and standardized tests and all that crap. Like, they're graded on that. So if you don't do good and the majority of the class doesn't do good, they don't do good. And that I hate, because, well, I mean, there could be another way that you can tell if a teacher's doing good. I don't know, should there be like a rating website? It's like rateyourteacher.com, and like give them a 5 out of 10 if you thought he was okay. Or like, I don't know, like choose a bunch of traits, like was he, or like choose a bunch of options. Was he like happy all the time? Did he give a lot of homework? Like, it would be just like moderate or like high or severe. I don't know. Just like find another way to grade the teachers. That's not right. It's not nice. And nothing I hate that would probably, demoralize a teacher if we had, or make the teacher, I don't think that's the word, make the teacher less likely to be still in that job if we had that rating thing. But like, teachers that give out homework as punishment. Homework, no one likes homework. First of all, like, homework is a nuisance in most senses. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In most senses, like, homework is just like, ugh, I gotta do homework. And the thing is, that should not be happening. Homework should be, like, you should be able to do it in class in some way. Like, or you should be able to have some time during the day to do your homework, because people have lives at home and they want to do things with their friends, or they have sports, or just anything like clubs, activities. Then they get home, they gotta spend time with their family, gotta eat dinner, and like maybe like watch a movie, or like, watch Jeopardy or something. I don't know, but people have lives at home. And like, this hasn't happened to me yet, but I've heard stories of people having like 4 hours of homework per night, and that's just a little bit. Like, there's even more, and you need 8 hours of sleep. Teenagers need like 9 to 10 or something like that, because they're teenagers, and that's just in their blood. And then you have the people, and then teachers just like seem to not get that. Like, I like when you don't have homework. Like, it's a bad thing that you're happy about having no homework. In school, that's a bad thing. School-wise, learning-wise, that's a bad thing that you have to feel that way about when you have no homework. Because I don't know how to change homework in a way to make it, it's not like, oh, I have to do homework, but like something you can do that's not like going to go against your activities that you do throughout the day. And what about people like trying to find their lives, like work, or find their lives? That doesn't make sense. But like, have to go to work part-time, or like have to do all the schoolwork and homework, and then they start failing. Another thing is, you wake up early, and that's just not good for humans. Oh, okay, I'm still recording, just making sure. My computer just like freaked out. Okay, so that leads me to my another thing. that that you need to wake up early. Like, what can we do to shorten the school day yet have the same amount of hours? So, I don't know this for a fact, but I know that on average, school is 7 hours long, and for 180 days. That's at least true for my school. So, we know, maybe there's like some law about this, but I don't know. But we know that you need 180 times 7, you need 1,260 hours of school per school year. And maybe that's like a law, maybe it's like you'd need 1,200, I don't know. But 1,260, that's how much the 180 times 7 is. So that's how many hours of school you need. So now what if we were to manipulate it in a way to make it so school would be shorter, yet still have that same amount of hours? Because I'm guessing that's like required, the 1260 thing. Yeah. So how can we shorten the day yet add more than 180 school days, yet shorten the day so you have it better? Have it better, have a shorter day so we can either take off from the morning or take off in the evening. So we can't have school on weekends, right? Let's just say we can't have school on weekends. And the most amount of weekends you can have in a year is, including leap years and like different things, is 105 weekend days. Okay? So you take back from the 365. Okay, let's do worst case scenario. The least amount of days, which is 365, even though there's a 0.25, so least amount of days in a year, not 366, but 365, minus 105, so that's 260, right? So that's the amount of days, that's the amount of weekdays in the worst case scenario. There may be more, but there can't be any less. We gotta make sure that we have this amount. So you have 260 days to work with, and 180 of them right now are being used. So how much time? So basically, the equation is, I don't know if I should put this on the screen or not, like text-wise, but I don't know. I'll see. But the equation is the amount of days times the amount of hours in each day should equal 1260, and there has to be under 260 days, and the time in the day doesn't matter at all. So let's say if you had 260, so you need the 1260 required divided by 260. So the most amount of hours you can have in a day, or the least amount of hours you can have in a day, while still having every single weekday be school, you would need 4.8 hours in that day instead of the 7. So that's pretty good. 4.8 hours, that's let's see how many minutes that is. That's 50 minutes. So 4 hours and 50 minutes and like, I don't know, 45 seconds. So that's exact. So an hour or 4 hours and 50 minutes of school is, or per school day, if you wanted every single weekday to be school. I personally, I don't really like that. I mean, personally, I would be willing to do that. Like, no vacation at all. But the school day is only 4 hours and 50 minutes. So now, everybody who's complaining, we need to make it shorter. Like, the least amount we can make it is 4 hours and 50 minutes long, which is pretty good. So what if we were to take off only an hour? So it's a 6-hour day, right? So it would be 6 times x equals 1260. So because we're trying to figure out how many days that is, so it'd just be 1260 divided by 6. So 210. So 210 days So you gotta have 50 days off, which is 10 weekdays, right? Yeah, 10 weeks off. So we can either contribute that to like spring break or like, I don't know, like summer break. I don't know, because the thing is why us Americans have summer break is because of all the people that work on farms. That's like, it's not planting season, that's like harvesting season. So if you had 10 weeks, no wait, 5 weeks, no, 10 weeks. Yeah, if you had 10 weeks off out of the 52-ish weeks in a year, and all the other ones were school, I don't know. Like you could you could maybe shorten down summer break instead of like 10 to 9 weeks, depends on the state and stuff. But what if we made that 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and then you had 4 weeks left over, maybe for like 1 or 2 winter break and 1 or 2 spring break. But remember, we still don't have, and then maybe like if winter break only had 1, then you could have a 1 week break somewhere else, or like divide those 5 days into like Memorial Day or something like that. So taking an hour off is pretty simple, so you have a 6-hour day. But where would you take the hour off? Personally, I would do it half and half. So most school days, like it doesn't matter how early you get up, but most school days start at 7:30. That's like the average for everywhere in the country, US of A. So if you were to take 30 minutes, so it would start at 8. I mean, that'd be pretty good, right? I mean, it's a little bit later, but also you could take off 30 minutes at the end of the day. Most school days end at 2:30. So now you can make it at 2. So 8 to 2 instead of 7:30 to 2:30. Which would be good, and you still have 10 weeks off. And you could make spring break only like 1 week and winter break 2 weeks. And then spread like maybe 1 for Memorial Day and then 1 for voting day. Or you could shorten it even further. I don't know. But I think just taking an hour off. But I don't know if that 1260 amount of hours is even correct. Like, is it even that law needed for that amount of hours? I don't know. I never really looked that up. I should have, but I didn't. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. I'd be alright with that. So taking an hour off wouldn't be that hard. Maybe you could take off an hour. And the thing is most people get home at like 3-ish average from the bus ride, or maybe you drive a car or something. But most people get home at 3, right? So most people, that's like the average. So let's say you got 3, or say you get home at 3, so now you're getting home at 2:30, which is pretty good. And let's say you've been getting up at 6, I don't know, or getting up at like 6 so you can get ready and stuff for 7:30. Now you can wake up at 6:30. I mean, it's not that big of a change, but it kind of puts into perspective that you can't really affect the school days that much. You can't take off like, well, why can't we just make every Friday just add it to the weekend and don't have any school those days? Well, you can't, because that's taking a whole 7 days off per week, or 7 hours off per week, which is like a huge amount. I don't know. There's 32 weeks, I think, 36 weeks in a school year if you have 180 for every 7 days, or 180 days per every 7 hours per day. So like 32 weeks it would be. What was I saying? Yeah, taking off 7 hours per. It's so 7 times 32. What is that? 224. 224. So that would take off 224 hours, which is a big chunk of that 1260. That's almost makes it down to only 1,000 hours. Now the thing is what if there is a required amount, And also, you have to count in snow days as well. Like, what if you have snow days, then you have to lengthen, the end of school year, except having, like, reserve days for snow days. What if you had, like, 12, I don't know, 12, or, what am I trying to say? I was trying to say something about, oh yeah, what if we just made the total number of years, or total number of hours just down? Like, made it less. What if you made it 1100? You did, I don't know. So 260 is the most. If we had every school day and you only needed 1100 hours, then it would be 1100 divided by 260. So now school could be 4.2 hours. Right? Like 4.2 hours, which is like, that's with every school day. So what if we took off 2 hours of school? So it would be a 5-hour school day. So now it would be 1100 divided by 5. So that would be 220 days, which is only 10 days more. So that just takes off. So now you have 8 weeks to work with. Well, what if you took off an hour and a half? So now it's only 5.5 hours per school year. So that'd be 1100 divided by 5.5. So 200 school days. So you have, actually, wow, that's a lot. So you would have 12 weekdays to take off. So you had let's say you had a 6-week summer, or a 7-week summer. So now you would only have 5 weeks left. You had a 1-week spring break, 2-week winter break, and you'd have 2 weeks to work with. 1 week would contribute to holidays, the other week would contribute to snow days and stuff. I'd be alright with that. If you only made the minimum, and you would take off an hour and a half off the school day. So now, instead of waking up at 6 and going to school at 7:30, now it would be like waking up at 6:45 and going to school at 8:15, or school starting at 8:15. And instead of leaving school at 2:30 and getting home at 3, you would leave school at 1:45 and get home at 2:15. And then you could have a lot more. Then you would have 45 minutes more time to 45 minutes more time to do your homework, to get stuff done, play with your friends, I don't know. But also you would have to only wake up a lot later. Like, think of it as kind of an hour delay, in a way. And we could just take off 2 hours, so it'd be like an hour delay all the time, and also an hour ending all the time, I guess you would say. And you would still, but if you took off 2 hours, then you would only have 9 weeks to work, 9 free weeks to work with, which is not a lot, because 3 goes to breaks, and you would only have 6. If you had a 5-week summer, then it would be only 1 week for stuff. So the best bet is take an hour and a half off of school. If you shortened the required amount of hours to 1100. Because, okay, I'm looking that up right now. What is the required amount of school hours in a school year? I don't know if that's like, number of instructional days / hours in school. Okay, in 30 states, it's 180. Makes sense. Set the minimum. Oh man, 11 states set the minimum number of instructional days between 160 and 179. And two states set it above 180, which is Kansas and Ohio. And 8 states do not even have a minimum number. This was made in 2013. And what's the amount of hours? I don't know. It's a 2013 update. There would be, okay, there is, I don't know, I'm not looking at that for long. It doesn't seem that there is a total amount of hours, but still, it's not, if we just shorten it a bit, and put 1100 hours, then, okay, here's another issue, is, you may be saying, for people who have a 8-period schedule, well, if we shortened the amount of hours in a day, then how would we have the 8 periods? Well, my friend, we wouldn't have the 8 period. Now, the big problem with, like, right now I have a 4-block schedule, so basically 4 periods, each in 85 minutes long, so almost an hour and a half. If we had that for every single school and we shorten the days, then instead of spreading 4 blocks over, and we'll consider it kind of 5 blocks, like 4.5, because one's like lunch. Well, let's just say it's 5 blocks, because there's only 7 periods in an 8-period day, but one's like, homeroom and lunch and stuff. So let's say there's 5 periods in a day. You have to split them up each. If you took off 2 hours per day, or an hour and 30 minutes per day, then each would be only like an hour and 6 minutes long, I think, and maybe just make it an hour long for longer periods in between classes. So your mind can only like concentrate on something at like 50 minutes to an hour, so that's pretty good, supposedly. I heard that from my history teacher. And I think, so if everything was a 4-block schedule, or a 5-block schedule technically, and we shortened days, then it would be down to an hour, which people could concentrate for. And quote unquote, 4-block schedule is more, an hour and a half is more than you need per period. Because if you think about it section wise, like, chapters, like in math especially, like you go to section like 4-3, and that's what we're learning today. In math, it's kind of like, for me at least, it was like, you'll either do one section and then kind of like another section, or like half one section, then you have a little bit time for homework. Like, it didn't really work out that way, in that well. I mean, not that way, but that well. Oh man, this video that I'm rendering is about to be done. But, so, like, an hour and a half doesn't really work well, but an hour kind of does work well, because you could have, like, 40 to 50 minutes working on that one, like, on one section, like, going over homework for the first, there's the video, for the first amount of class and stuff, and everything like that. But what if you had, if you had an hour, then you would have like 10 minutes at the end of class to do that homework, or like discuss stuff with the teacher, or get things at the end of class, so it'd be more constructive. And also, technically, you'd have a little bit more time in between class to get to your locker, maybe, so lockers wouldn't be, like, maybe your locker's in a terrible spot, but you can't carry around everything, then you could actually use it. Instead of having like 4 minutes in between classes, maybe we could have like 8. I don't know. That would be better. So the whole thing that I'm saying, the fact that I want this to happen is, one, you would get home, or first of all, you would wake up later. One, that would be better for teens, because you would have 45 minutes to wake up later, which is a big improvement. That's like almost an hour, kind of. And adding an hour, like maybe you go to bed at like 11 doing homework and you fall asleep, I don't know, or maybe you stay up later than that, I don't know, but like 11, and you have to wake up at 6 normally. That's only 7 hours. But if you add 45 minutes to that, it's almost 8 hours. That's pretty good. And also, you would get home earlier, which means you would have to do you would have more time to do homework, as well as you're only doing one section a day instead of 1.5 sections per day, and you would kind of have, quote unquote, you would have the same amount of hours overall, but you would only have one section a day and doing less work per day, which means you probably have less homework per day, which means you have less time to do it at home, and you also get home at 45 minutes earlier, so you can do that. So that 45 minutes is probably enough time to do that homework, which normally would take you an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty good. So now you have more time to be with your family, more time to do sports and stuff. Also, and go to bed earlier, quote unquote. Teenagers will not do that, but still, you get to wake up later. You'll be at least a little bit more refreshed. If we just shortened the total amount of hours by an hour, or 160 hours, that would be better. That'd be better. You would have enough time. And again, remember that 260 weekdays? That's just worst case scenario, really. That's nothing. That's just nothing. Like, I think it would work. I mean, it's much more reasonable change. I mean, teachers should be happy about. Like, another thing is take away SOL, so just take that away. And another thing is just to change school. Another thing is just like make it so the teachers don't have to teach as much stuff. Like, I had to do Algebra 2 trigonometry, where we had to teach like a full year class in only half a year, plus get in trigonometry. That's like what my teacher said, and that's not good. That's not good that we had to do. And so yeah, that's basically all I would change about school. Like a much more small change than the traits thing I said. I'm still all for that. I like that, but you know, that's a huge change about every school system. But just shorten it, shorten the hours, and less criteria for the teacher to teach, because it's a lot of things. So I would like to actually talk about Venice. This is my sorry about that. The phone rang and I just mute my mic because I can do that now with my mic. So I want to talk actually about Venice. I have like done little tidbits at the end of these about Venice, but I want to actually give you my plan. So I'm gonna do the canals. That's gonna be part of the sped up, but then I'm going to be talking, or then it's the build phase starts, because that's enough about digging. Then I have to build. Then I have to make the canals look pretty. I have to line the streets. Just make a bunch of different things about the place. Or what am I saying? Like, make a bunch of different things. So first off, the first thing I'm going to build is I'm going to build the walls. Probably that'll be the first thing. Yeah, I'm gonna build the walls first. The walls, I already have a design in mind. It's gonna hopefully look cool. I mean, with the ridges that I have, it's gonna be kind of difficult. So I can't have like any stair blocks or fence blocks in there, or slab blocks, because with corners those don't really work. So it's gotta all be solid blocks, which I think I've figured out a pattern that I like for that. So I'm gonna do the walls, then I'm gonna do the bottom of the canal. I'm gonna build the canals 2 deep, so the bottom layer of it, I'm going to fill up the second layer that I dig down. I'm gonna fill that up with like sand, gravel, red sand, bunch of different. Where do you get red sand? That's what I'm talking about. But build around, like get maybe some sandstone in there, like some gravel, cobblestone, just cobblestone near the edges, so it's kind of like it crumbled down. Just a bunch of different things at the riverbed, so it looks more realistic than just plain dirt. I'm also going to so once I build that canal, I'm going to fill it with water. That's going to be a daunting task, but it's going to be very tedious, but I'm going to do it. I make sure of that. I was thinking, so, and then I would probably start building the houses, because I got the walls, the canals. No, the first house I'm gonna build is that mill, by that river, that little island thing. I'm gonna build that mill because I like building mills, and I'm gonna make it so it kind of like flows into the water, like it's pumping the water to the system. And then I'm going to start building the houses. Just build all the houses. Have each one have like an item frame on front, kind of showing what it is. It's not gonna be an exact replica of Venice, but it's gonna be like, that kind of boat kind of feel. It's not gonna be Venice per se, but I'm just gonna call it Venice, to keep it simple. And what I was planning to do next after that is build a sewer system. Just like a very small, like a 2-high thing, like a 2x2 wide thing that just like goes around through the houses. It'll be like a little tiny manhole covers, which is just gonna be iron doors or iron trap doors, and the manhole covers will be the sidewalks are gonna be too wide. I'm gonna think about that. Yeah, so the manhole covers are maybe 3 wide, 2 or 3 wide. I'll figure that out once I've made the canals. And I gotta start building or digging again. I haven't dug out Venice in a long time. It's just I kind of want to keep it up real date, so like the final block I break, I want it to be glorious. So now the first, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna build the sewer system, and then I'm gonna build the underground. Now this is gonna be like tons of work, but I'm gonna build the underground layers. I remember making this like under each place. It's decorative, but then there's like a secret trap door in every place that you go down, and it'd be like secret layer. That's like where I live. It'd be like a hermit hole, and it's like interconnected like the upper city, but it's a lower city, and like that'll probably be where a villager breeding system. If I have villagers, I may or may not have villagers, because they will probably fall into the water a lot and drown. Well, not drown, but fall into the water. So I may or may not have villagers, but if I do, it will be in that bottom area. That'll also be where all my chests are. And then I'm going to do another sped up thing. Or no, I'm not actually. I'm going to do another thing that is going to be dig out a 3-high area all under Venice, right? The reason I'm going to do that is so mobs don't have a lot of reasons to spawn up at the top, like up in Venice. Like I can light it up, but dark spots most likely won't spawn mobs because there's that giant chasm like under like a 3-high area, so Enderman can go under there as well. So a bunch of mobs it'll just be a 3-highway all the way around Venice. I think that's gonna be pretty dang cool. So I'll plan on doing that, and then I think the final project for Venice, I'm going to do more after that, but the final project for Venice to make it look pretty is I'm going to build clouds. And builds clouds above Venice, and I'm going to build a castle in the clouds. And that will be my technical home. Like that'll be my, like I don't actually live there, and my bed's not actually there, but it's just like the fake home kind of thing. It's not practical at all. I just want to build it. And there'll be rainbows. There won't be any planes because we're talking about Venice. There'll be rainbows. Maybe some rain clouds. I don't know how I'm gonna connect them all to make it look realistic. And it's gonna be really nice. And once I build all the clouds, the castle, I don't know. It'll come to me. I don't know what to do. 10 out of 10, I don't know. What? I don't know what to do when I do that. So that's my plan for Venice. So the last two little things. I'm 45 minutes in, I think. That's a complete thinkable thing. The last two things I want to talk about, those were my two big things. The school thing obviously was much bigger than Venice, but I just wanted to show what I wanted to do. So there's two little things that I want to talk about. One is, I think I've talked about this before, but the thing I wanna give a few examples about this, but I think that the transition from bad to good is better than just good. And I say it in this way, that imagine you came, like, you like your house at like a cool temperature, not like 68 degrees, but like, Fahrenheit, but like, I don't know, like a 65, like a cool it's like always cold for your guests, but you like it. And imagine like it's a summer day and you go outside and it's like extremely hot and you're like working in your garden, I don't know, or just like something doing the weeds, or just building your man house, I don't know, but your man shed, or mowing the lawn. It's really hot and you get back inside and like there's a fan right in front of the door and it's like blowing on you and you're like, oh, it feels so good, it's been so hot outside. I think that transition from that like feeling bad and smug to that cool temperature, I think that feels better than just always being at that temperature. Imagine, like, maybe you're a person, I am a person who does not like to go to bed in their socks, but I don't just I don't have socks on when I go to bed. I have my socks on, get into bed, then take my socks off, because I like that feeling of that bad to good feeling better than just not having socks on when I get into bed. So I just wanted to point that out. That's something about me. I like the bad to good better than just the good. You feel kind of a sense of accomplishment or just a fulfillment that, like, you knew what the bad side was, but now you're back to normal kind of thing, instead of just like living in a world where you're just, everything's just good and dandy. So there is two nights ago, not last night, but the night before, I wrote this down yesterday. There's something about me and nightmares. I had a nightmare 2 nights ago, and I don't get nightmares. I do. I mean, like, in general, I do, but I get them like every 6 years. Like, seriously, bro, that is unnatural. I don't get nightmares often, and when I do get them, I freak out. Like, I've only had them 4 times. First time when I was 3 years old, and it was the Headless Horseman. I was freaked out about that. Like, he like chops off your head if you cross the bridge or something. I don't remember the story, but I was terrified by it. And then age 6, there was 2 scary nightmares I had when I was age 6, and that was a terrible time because I could not fall asleep. Terrible time for my parents. It was like a 3-month period thing. So it was like a month after I turned 6, and one night I dreamt that I was standing, or it was like zooming in on a man that was standing on one side of, or like on the moon, the side of the moon where it's like exactly the shadow and the light. I mean, there is no exact point, but he was standing there, like, a man standing on the exact point where one half is shadow and the other's the sun. And he was just in a white t-shirt and like blue shorts, I don't know. He was just standing there, and then suddenly, in the blink of an eye, he actually blinked, but like he blinked and the right side of him that was not facing the sun, like, froze to, like, a sheet of ice, and, like, he was frozen that way. And but, like, he could still move a bit, but he was, like, frozen in that way. And also the right side of his face. And then the left side of him started to melt and, like, ooze and goo because of the sun. And, like, and it was like a perfect line with, like, one body was, like, rigid and the other one was, like, his eyes were drooping out and, like, everything was melting about him. And then I woke up, and dude, that was terrifying. And I could always just imagine him in every doorway. Like, I'd open a door and there'd be, like, the half frozen, half, like, melting man, like, about to grab me by the throat and, like, throw me down a dumpster or something. I don't know. I had lots of scary visions with that guy. I don't know what I called him. I just called him the guy that I didn't like. So, and then when I was about to turn 7, like maybe 3 months before, and that's not about, but before I was 7, like 9 months into the age of sickness, my 3rd grade teacher, I think it was 3rd grade or 2nd grade, I don't know, but my teacher read me a book. It was like a detective book. It was about a man who, quote unquote, died, and he was 7 feet tall, and he was put into a 6-foot tall casket, like a coffin. So he had to be, like, bent over and, like, twisted in weird ways to be put in the coffin. And, like, they were presenting him on stage because he was once an actor, and this old man was, like, talking about him, and then the lights go out, and then the coffin was open, or, like, the lights came back on, and the old man was hanging by a noose high up in the ceiling, and the casket was open and nothing was inside. And dude, okay, so right before my teacher, Mrs. K, told me this part, she said, like, for anybody who's a scaredy cat, please walk out because this is going to terrify you. And only one person walked out. He was my friend named Preston. And I had wished, and everybody laughed at him, but it, you know, as soon as he came back in, like, everybody was crying. It was a terrifying story. I don't know why she read it to me, but I wish on so many levels that I had gotten that, because I caused my parents so much trouble because of those nightmares. Like, I was freaking terrified of them. So I always imagined, like, you know, the man hanging by a noose, and, like, right in front of him is a 7-foot tall, dismantled man, or not dismantled, but, like, disconfigured man, like, walking towards me. And he had no face. I don't know why I didn't have any face, but God, that was terrifying. And it was a picture book too. What? Why? Who would write it? Who would read it to a 6-year-old? Gosh, I wish I'd walked out, but that was, like, for 3 months that I was scared of that. So 2 nights ago, I had my first nightmare in, I don't know, 8 years. I'm not good at math. I don't want to do it, like, exact math, but it was, I was walking down a hallway. It was a hallway, and then it was a long hallway, and I come to and there's no doors. Then on my right, suddenly, a small little door appears, like, you know, like a 4.5 foot tall door. You know, it's like, okay. So, and apparently I know that I'm walking through the house of a mass murderer. I don't know why I'm in the house, but I know. And I open the door, and I, like, you know, sneak in, I turn on the lights, and there's a big giant metal vault right in front of me, and to the left and to the right are 4, like, you know, display cases, like, for trophies and stuff. And in each one are, like, these 3-year-old, like, either boys or girls, 3-year-old little girls or boys that are just like huddled up and they're twitching and crying. One of them was dead. The other one was like gasping for air. God, that was terrifying. So but I turned around and of course the door was no longer there. So and I'm trapped in the room. So something compels me to open up the vault door. So I open it up. I know the combination. I don't know why. So I open it up, and as I'm doing so, all the kids are screaming, like, stop, stop, stop. No, stop. And I open up the door, and there's just a man in an electric chair, like, grasping on to the armchairs, like, with his hair all frilled out. And he's, like, smiling, like, an extreme smile, and he doesn't have any. He's like in huge eyes, and he's like just staring at me. And you'd think he's dead, but then he like lashes out, and like his arms unlatch from the chair in like a split second, like jump out at me. And I wake up, and I feel hands on my shoulder, and I'm like, and I'm like feeling my shoulder, but there's no hands on my shoulder. It's just the last moment of him grabbing my shoulders before I woke up. So. Oh God, I don't like it. I don't like it. So, and pretty traumatizing. But now I'm pretty okay right now. When I was 6, I was a complete scared cat. I remember one time, like just to explain how much of a scaredy cat I was. There was one time I was just in the bathroom and I finished and flushed the toilet and I washed my hands, and then I opened the door. My brother's just standing there, and like I open the door and he's just standing there, like waiting to go to the bathroom, and I freak out, like I absolutely lose it, and I like run away, like run under the table, and I'm just like dining room table, and I'm just like and it took them like 5 minutes just to calm me down, and my brother was just like standing there, not like even trying to scare me. I was just scared of just anything that happened suddenly, even though it was like not sudden. It took me like 5 seconds to realize that my brother's standing there, and then I realized, oh my God, this is scary. So those are the last 2 things that I want to talk about. Oh, it's like 58 minutes, I think. I don't know. Can't keep track of time, but I think I've definitely done what I needed to do. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode of ViGeeMan's Adventure. Have a good one.